Human beings are amazing. Drop them anywhere. Desert, glacier, side of an active volcano, they'll immediately build some houses, quickly followed by a neighborhood watch. Today, I'm venturing to the edges of civilization, the loneliest dots on Earth's resume. Some are barely survivable, some take weeks to reach, and some were built with one clear purpose: keep the rest of us very, very far away. Starting with number 20, Tristan da Cunha. Great name, terrible place to get to. This tiny volcanic speck sits dead center in the South Atlantic, basically the ocean's version of don't bother. No airport, no regular ferry. If you want to visit, you'll need to hitch a ride on a cargo ship from Cape Town, assuming it's not canceled, which it probably is. If the sun's shining, you're looking at a 5 to 7 day trip, like a cruise, if cruises came with sickness and cargo crates, and a 0 chance of a buffet. Better get approval from the island council first. No paperwork, no island paradise. So who lives here? British people. Well, British people's descendants, with a dash of other Atlantic islanders thrown in. Back in the 1810s, Britain sent a garrison here to stop Napoleon from escaping nearby St. Helena. By nearby, they meant 1,500 miles away. That's like guarding a prisoner in New York from Dallas. One day, the soldiers looked around and realized something. Too many dudes, not enough wives. So they sent a polite request to St. Helena for women. And just like that, you got a settlement. Today, about 240 people live here. 7 family names, 1 village. They've got a health center, a supermarket, a school, and a post office. A dentist drops by once a year, so yeah, you better floss. In 1961, the volcano decided to go boom. So the whole island packed up and moved to England, and they hated it every second. When the island was declared safe, they went home. Turns out, a smoking volcano beats British weather. From a lonely volcano in the South Atlantic to a frozen military outpost that makes Antarctica look cozy. Number 19. In Canada's frozen north lies Alert, probably named because you'd have to be alert to survive there. It's the northernmost permanently inhabited place on Earth, sitting at a frosty 82 degrees north, practically neighbors with the North Pole. But it's not really a town. Alert is a military signals intelligence base. That's the non-classified way of saying it listens in on other countries while pretending to check the weather. Odds are, it's starred in at least 3 conspiracy videos, all in 240p. Population? Between 65 and 110 people. Most stay for 3 to 6 months, long enough to question their life choices. Getting there? It's not easy. Alert technically has an airport, but no regular flights. Planes only show up when the military needs them. So unless you're Canadian Armed Forces on official business or incredibly lost, you're not getting in. But there are other places you don't need Defense Department permission to visit, just a permit and some good hiking endurance. We've gone cold, now let's try the kind of isolation where the sun wants you dead. Number 18. Supai Village, Arizona is the only town in the US where the mail still arrives by mule. Not metaphorically, actual mules. About 200 people live there, more than 95% of them Native American. The village sits at the bottom of the Grand Canyon, inside the Havasupai Indian Reservation. A road could have been built. The tribe said no, and after everything outside contact has meant for them, that's understandable. To reach Supai, you've got 3 options: hike, ride a mule, or charter a helicopter. The last one's the fastest, and the most obnoxious. Most people hike. The way down feels easy, the way back up feels like regret. It's about 8 miles in, 4 to 6 hours each way. If your last workout was high school gym class, plan extra time, or a rescue team. Skip summer. It hits 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and a hike to Supai can quickly turn into a survival documentary. So why go? Well, because it's gorgeous, and because Instagram said so. Supai leads to Havasupai Falls, that turquoise blue ribbon spilling between Red Canyon walls, one of North America's most breathtaking sights, perfect for a face-tuned selfie. From hiking through scorching heat to gasping for air at 16,000 feet, humanity really doesn't know when to stop. Number 17. La Rinconada, Peru, is the highest permanent settlement on Earth, 16,700 feet above sea level. That's just 900 feet below Everest's South Base Camp. Except here, people actually live here all year round, voluntarily. Officially, about 7,000 people call it home. Unofficially, it's more like 30,000 to 50,000, which is wild. Living long-term above about 16,400 feet isn't good for you. La Rinconada is one of the few places on Earth where people actually do it, on purpose. Even the mountain goats are looking at them like, bruh. The town sits in a tundra wasteland. Temperatures hover around 34 degrees Fahrenheit. Oxygen's at half sea level levels, but the altitude isn't the real danger. The town's lawless. High murder rates, trafficking, and barely a cop in sight. There's no running water, no sewage, mercury in the air, and food only when the roads allow it. So why stay? Gold. People work 30 days unpaid. Then, for one day, they get to keep whatever they find. It's not a livelihood. It's Russian roulette with a pickaxe. Despite everything, tens of thousands still live and work in La Rinconada. Nature's been dropping hints, but they're just not listening. Let's go from altitude sickness to frostbite. Progress. Number 16. Greenland, a place whose name is straight up gaslighting you. Over 40,000 people live on this massive block of ice pretending to be land. And on the east side, Ittoqqortoormiit, the remote part of an already remote island. Population, 345, plus several polar bears, foxes, and walruses, the kind of neighbors that make homeowner association disputes very short. And thanks to climate change, the polar bears move in a little closer every year. To get here, you'll need a helicopter. In summer, a boat might work, assuming it's not cosplaying as the Titanic. The town was founded in the 1920s. By accident. In 1925, Danish explorer Einar Mikkelsen and his 80-person Inuit crew got stranded here. Their ship ran into technical difficulties, which means ice. But they found good hunting, so they stayed. Nothing says new home like, well, we're stuck here anyway. Cargo ships stop by once a year, and that's it. The rest of the time, locals rely on hunting seals, narwhals, and polar bears. It's like going to Costco with a harpoon. After centuries of adaptation, the Inuit here are basically built different, but even they can't outmuscle climate change. The ice is melting, every hunt now is a bet between dinner and a frozen grave. So far, we've sailed a week to reach a volcano, frozen our lungs in the Arctic, and hiked a canyon for waterfall selfies. Humanity remains undefeated in poor location choices. Ready to continue this isolation tour? Number 15. The Pitcairn Islands are one of the least populated places on Earth, and the last British territory in the Pacific. The nearest continent, nearly 3,100 miles away. The population, 50 people, all descendants of the HMS Bounty mutineers. Back in 1789, they hijacked the ship, set the Loyalists adrift, swung by Tahiti for partners, and vanished to the Pitcairn, the 18th century version of New Phone, who dis. The island's barely 2 miles long and 1 mile wide. That's less than half the size of Heathrow Airport, and it's full of cliffs. One wrong step, and you're suddenly a former resident. How did these people survive? Well, they kind of didn't. At first, Pitcairn was basically Lord of the Flies Midlife Crisis Edition. The men started killing each other until just one was left, plus some women and kids wondering what they'd gotten into. Things calmed down after the whole murder thing. A few new arrivals showed up, either by choice or by shipwreck. Turns out, everyone in the 1800s had pretty terrible navigation. They survived through fishing, farming, and sheer stubbornness. Today, the island's economy runs on global curiosity. You can buy Pitcairn honey or jewelry online. Expect it to arrive within 20 to 1,000 business days. Still better than the USPS. If you thought living with 50 inbred mutineers was bad, imagine sharing an island with one really bitter French guy. Number 14. After Napoleon set half of Europe on fire, the British exiled him to St. Helena, far enough away that even he couldn't start a comeback tour. A smart move. St. Helena is basically a speck floating in the South Atlantic. It's 1,200 miles from Angola and 2,500 miles from Rio de Janeiro. About 4,500 people live on this 10 by 5 mile rock. That's small enough to make cabin fever a group activity. Its isolation meant unique species lived there, like the cabbage tree and the wirebird, until the British arrived with cows, goats, and dogs and turned biodiversity into lunch. Speaking of isolation, if you like these geography deep dives, hit subscribe, because I've officially replaced human contact with contour lines. Anyway, today's saints trace back to British settlers and freed West African slaves. Some were liberated on the island. The others, they were rescued when St. Helena became the mid-Atlantic pit stop for intercepted slave ships. An airport opened in 2017. Flights from South Africa, once a week. Plan carefully, though, and don't get hurt. The ER runs on island time. Still, St. Helena looks like a resort compared to what's next. It's a place so remote, even penguins file HR complaints. Number 13. The Kerguelen Islands. Nickname? Desolation Island. Population 45 to 100 depending. Chances of recreating The Shining? 100%. The Kerguelen Islands belong to the French Southern and Antarctic Islands. The name tells you everything. Less tropical paradise kinda island, more of a die of exposure kinda island. Glaciers over 6,000 feet tall dot the landscape like nature's security system. You won't see much of them though. The islands sit in the middle of nowhere. Literally, they're halfway between South Africa, Australia, and Antarctica, the geographical equivalent of being left on airplane mode. The only residents are scientists and staff at Port-au-Français, presumably the ones who annoyed their bosses. About 90 stay through the summer, and about 45 endure the winter, studying ecology, geology, and meteorology. It's like summer camp, with frostbite. Getting there means a 10-day ship ride from Reunion Island. Once you arrive, it rains constantly, and the wind hits 62 miles an hour. And yet, the researchers insist they don't feel isolated, probably while blinking SOS in Morse code. Number 12, Palmerston, is one of the 15 Cook Islands, but it's far from the most popular one for tourists. That may be because only 25 people live there, and they're all related. Let's quickly not think about that too much and move on to the next point. They're descended from British explorer William Marsters and his 2 Polynesian wives who settled the island in 1883. Every afternoon except Sunday, the locals play volleyball together. One local said, "The only thing we like better than volleyball is church. And you can't even get through a Thanksgiving with your family without wine. I guess if they were the only people you could see, you'd change your tune." Palmerston is 2,000 miles northeast of New Zealand, and 200 miles from the next closest dot of island in the Pacific. The only link it has to the outside world is a telephone station. One telephone station. Electricity and internet are limited. A few hours a day. It's satellite only, just enough to call for help or doomscroll about places you'll never reach. They've created a very self-sufficient place on their 640-acre tropical paradise. Cargo ships only drop by a few times a year, so they kinda had to if they wanted to live. They rely on solar power, fishing, subsistence farming, and have a rainwater catchment system to ensure they have fresh water. A survivalist's paradise. Now we're swapping glaciers for palm trees, and learning that even paradise gets weird when everyone's related. Number 11. Located 416 miles off the coast of Chile, Robinson Crusoe Island was named after the famous story, because it inspired it in the first place. In 1704, sailor Alexander Selkirk decided his ship, the Cinque Ports, was too leaky to survive the voyage. He told his captain he'd rather be left behind. Bold choice. The captain, delighted to lose a backseat sailor, happily obliged. Selkirk was left with a few supplies and a lifetime of regret. Selkirk, meanwhile, survived 5 years alone, dodging Spanish ships and talking to goats. He was rescued in 1709 and became the basis for Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe. The island later served as a pirate base, then a prison. Chileans settled it in the late 1800s, and today, around 976 people live in the only town, San Juan Bautista. They've got cars, TVs, satellite internet, and a small airstrip. It's a 3-hour flight from Chile in a 6-seater plane, the only type that can land there. It might be tiny, but it loves drama. In 2010, a massive earthquake off Chile triggered a 10-foot tsunami. A 12-year-old girl, Martina Maturana, noticed the ocean receding and raised the alarm, saving dozens of lives. Think Moana, but with more existential dread. We've seen mutiny, monarchy, and mild hypothermia, all in the name of a simpler life. And the isolation doesn't stop. We've hit the top 10, and things just get stranger from here. Any ideas on what'll be at number 1? Let me know in the comments. Number 10. Oymyakon, Siberia. It's no surprise that one of the coldest towns on Earth is in Siberia. Oymyakon's lowest temperature? Negative 96.2 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not cold, that's a hate crime from the atmosphere. You get 5 minutes before frostbite sets in. Nothing stays uncovered, nothing survives long. And life in Oymyakon is pretty weird because of it. Phones die instantly. Metal fuses to skin, glass freezes to your face. Cars either idle forever or become modern art. Plumbing doesn't exist. Pipes would freeze solid. So toilets are outhouses and steam baths count as showers. Getting there means driving the road of bones. Tens of thousands of Gulag prisoners died building it. A cheerful thought as you rumble over frozen corpses and pray your engine doesn't stall. The nearest city, Yakutsk, is a 2-day drive away. It's only reachable when the rivers freeze. In summer, you'll need a ferry and a reassessment of your life choices. For our next place, you need to use a bridge. The only bridge, and it can be pulled out from under you at any time. Number 9. Welcome to Shahara, Yemen. Or actually, you're not welcome. Shahara village has existed since at least the 9th century, and for over 1,000 years, no one could take it. Not until the 1960s, when Yemen's civil war brought airstrikes. Turns out, mountains beat armies, unless the armies fly. Once a center of Zaidi Islamic learning, Shahara was practically invincible. Perched over 8,500 feet up a jagged mountain, it's surrounded by deep gorges and connected to the world by a bridge. That's it. Just one bridge. Built in the 17th century, it stretched just 65 feet, and it could be dismantled in minutes. Whenever invaders showed up, the villagers just pulled it apart. The only route turned into a 300-foot nope. Today, it's still hard to reach. Foreigners need police permits. And, the Civil War thing makes travel risky. But the village itself remains safe. It's just everything around it that's on fire. Some things never change. Yemenis must really love their isolated communities because Shahara isn't the only Yemeni place on the list. Number 8. Socotra Island is so isolated, it evolved its own language, culture, and wildlife. It's Earth's version of I'm quirky. About 37% of its plants and 90% of its reptiles exist nowhere else on the planet. Its most famous resident is the dragonblood tree. Like everything else here, it's mastered survival through abandonment. Sounds relatable. Its trunk stores water, an evolutionary water bottle for when the dry season decides to get dramatic. Though officially part of Yemen, Socotra sits closer to Somalia, just 150 miles from the Horn of Africa. It's roughly 250 miles from mainland Yemen. Its people aren't Yemeni or Somali, but Socotri. They speak an unwritten Semitic language distinct from Arabic. Isolation with subtitles. Life here is harsh. Monsoons, then drought. Water, then none. The island doesn't do moderation. Locals survived by trading frankincense, myrrh, aloe, and dragon's blood resin. The ancient world's version of Etsy, but with cheaper prices. Today, they've become the island's unofficial guardians. And if you're a woman, even visiting this next place is against the rules. Number 7. Mount Athos, or Aioros, was founded in 963 AD, and life there has barely changed since. It's one of the few places where you can still walk straight into the Byzantine era. No time machine or friendly mad scientist required. To visit, men need a special residence permit and must stay at a monastery. No hotels, no Airbnbs, no exceptions. The number of visitors is capped, and women banned completely to avoid distractions. 1,000 years later, still the go-to excuse. Even though it's technically on the Greek mainland, there are no roads leading in, only boats. and while the no women rule gets people talking, it's hard not to be impressed. This tiny theocracy has kept its medieval rhythm intact for over a millennium. Like the rest of the world upgraded to Wi-Fi and they just said, we're good. Is it the strictest community on the list though? I don't know. After all, the next town requires residents to remove their appendix to live there. Number 6. The Stars Village. That's what Vida las Estrellas means. Sounds glamorous. It isn't. It's a 14-home Chilean settlement on Antarctica's King George Island. And unlike most Antarctic outposts, it's not just a research base. There's a school that doubles as the internet hub, plus a bank, gym, post office, radio station, and a payphone. If you want that straight out of 1998 vibe. Visitors can stay at the 20-room hotel, assuming they really want to. Most residents work at the nearby Eduardo Frei Montalva base. Some even bring their families, which is how kids learn their parents secretly resent them, especially after finding out everyone has to get their appendix removed before moving there. Why? Because the village has one doctor and one nurse. The nearest real hospital is 625 miles away across the Southern Ocean. So getting your appendix removed isn't extreme, it's insurance. Otherwise, you're one burst organ away from the radio host performing surgery with a butter knife, and somehow it works. We've gone from Siberians freezing solid to pulling bridges out from under invaders and monks banning women on a mountain. Humanity's greatest skill? Making remote and uncomfortable sound like a lifestyle choice. We've hit our top 5. Things get colder, stranger, and lonelier. It's essentially Earth on hard mode. Number 5. If you live in New York City, you only talk to your neighbors when they're too loud. Now imagine those same neighbors being the only people you ever see. Ever. That's because your entire town lives inside one apartment building. No escape, just shared walls and passive aggression. Welcome to Whittier, Alaska, a town so hidden it feels like witness protection for an entire zip code. It's tucked between mountains, reachable only through a one-lane tunnel that opens once an hour. It's also got a curfew. It shuts at 10:30 p.m. If you're late, congratulations, you're camping in your car in Alaska. Locals cope with humor. Many wear shirts that read POW, Prisoner of Whittier, which feels less like a joke and more like an emotional support statement. Almost all 272 residents live in Begich Towers, a 14-story building. It's got a school, a grocery store, a post office, a church. What else could you need, apart from maybe a little personal space? Walking your kid to school means taking a tunnel. Feeling ill? Good luck. Anything serious means a drive to Anchorage. That's assuming the tunnel gods are feeling generous. And don't expect sunshine. Whittier gets 16 feet of rain and 20 feet of snow a year. That travel brochure must be a hard sell. But this next community makes Whittier seem like a roomy, comfy paradise. Number 4. In the middle of Lake Victoria sits Migingo. It's an island so crowded you can barely see the land beneath the metal rooftops. It's less tropical getaway and more apocalyptic parking lot with boats. 500 people live here, all crammed onto 21,500 square feet, about half a soccer field. Why? 2 words. Absolute insanity. Wait, nope, that's wrong. It's Nile perch. The fish are huge, the profits are good, and living here means prime fishing spots. Despite the size, there's still enough space for bars, cafes, a pharmacy, and hair salons. Oh, and a brothel. Priorities, I guess. Migingo sits in the middle of a territorial tug-of-war between Kenya and Uganda. Both claim it. In 2009, Uganda planted a flag and started taxing fishermen. Kenya objected. Talks went nowhere. To this day, no one's really sure whose laws they live under, but both countries make sure to collect taxes anyway. Politicians, they'll never miss a chance to tax something they can't even find on a map. This is it, the top 3, and it's been a lonely journey getting here. Number 3. Easter Island, or Rapa Nui, is famous for its giant stone heads, built by someone for reasons unknown. Basically history's longest-running art installation. Saying the island is remote is an understatement. It's almost 2,200 miles from mainland Chile. Locals speak Rapa Nui, a Polynesian language that's survived for over 1,500 years. Europeans first landed on Easter Sunday, 1722, and immediately regretted it. Hundreds of massive stone faces judging you for existing will make you question your decisions. Those statues, the moai, are 600 strong. Some reach 33 feet tall. Proof the ancient Polynesians didn't skip leg day. Radiocarbon dating shows monuments like the moai spread west to east across Polynesia between 1000 and 1300 AD. Rapa Nui was the last stop on humanity's rock tour. The Rapa Nui traded and talked across the Pacific. Then, suddenly, nothing. Why? No one knows. War, climate, aliens, whatever happened, it left behind one of history's most awkward ghostings, and a few hundred faces staring into the void. Just like almost no one knew details about this next community until 2013. Number 2. Until recently, Motuo, Tibet was so remote that getting out here meant days of hiking through the Himalayas. Avalanches were a complimentary extra. For decades, 99.9% of people never even tried. Located high in the Tibetan mountains, it was the only region of China without a highway, until engineers decided to blow up some mountains. Their first try, back in the 1990s, didn't go so great. The Bome Medog Highway survived 3 days. Then snow and rain deleted it from existence. Motuo means hidden lotus land, which, to be honest, is pretty epic, and it lives up to the title. The terrain goes from subtropical forest to alpine lakes in just a few miles. It's like nature had an identity crisis. Around 15,000 people live here, in what's considered Tibet's holiest region. But progress comes with a downside. The new highway brought visitors, officials, and government projects. When locals protested a dam in 2024, China listened, then arrested everyone and started construction anyway. You can still reach Motuo the old-fashioned way, a 48-mile trek. Prefer enlightenment with air conditioning? Just drive. This is it. Number 1. The crown jewel of absolutely not. Don't visit, don't even Google it, unless you're planning your own true crime documentary. Number 1. There's not much I can say about North Sentinel Island, because no one except the Sentinelese has ever set foot there and lived to tell the tale. Islanders have a reputation for launching arrows and spears at outsiders, which, to be fair, is probably the correct way to greet most tourists. The Sentinelese have lived there for around a millennia. The first recorded sighting came in 1771. An East India Company ship saw fires on shore and noped straight out of there. A century later, a shipwrecked Indian crew wasn't so lucky. The islanders attacked, the sailors fought back, and the Royal Navy showed up to rescue them. And then claimed the island for Britain because, well, that's what Britain did. And since then, they've been the least friendly welcome party ever. The latest guest was missionary John Allen Chow. He decided to convert the islanders in 2018. They warned him twice. On the third visit, they ended the conversation permanently. He came to spread the word of God. They sent him to deliver it personally. And yet, the Sentinelese remain. Still there, still doing fine. They've seen ships, planes, helicopters, and all decided pass. Some people just prefer their own company. If this proves anything, it's that humans will live anywhere. Frozen deserts, active volcanoes, cliffs, caves, floating shacks. It's not a challenge, it's a fixer-upper. And honestly, a little isolation is better than doom-scrolling TikTok while pretending to enjoy civilization. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you want to see more videos like this, then please consider subscribing and turn on notifications. It really does make a difference. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time on MapPack.